welcome to the Fat Man's Guide to the Real World. Today we are going to talk about a real world challenge, the Allegheny 100 Hiking Challenge. The A100 is a 100-mile hiking event in early June through the Allegheny National Forest in northwestern Pennsylvania. I like to call it an ultra challenge because there is a time limit, 50 hours, to perform the event. It's not a race and there are no trophies, but instead is a test of individual effort and spirit. The A100 is heading into its 10th year, and yearly averages now between 160 and 170 participants. This year looks to have just under 200 people on the trail. There are options to do the 100 miles, or you could go 75, 50, or 25 miles. About half the people, or around 80 to 100, will sign up for the 100-mile distance. Yearly, though, on average, 13 people finish the 100. So it is a very difficult event. Even though there are more famous and intricate events around the country, the A100 is definitely formidable. The A100 has nearly 13,000 feet of elevation rise. And when you compare that to some of the other top events out there, of which most are alpine challenges, you can see that the A100 is definitely comparable. Yours truly, the Fat Man, has done the last 5 A100s and will be out there for my 6th year in June. I have hiked just over 250 A100 miles the last 5 years, with 2018 being my most successful year when I got 75 miles in about 39 hours. And in all those miles, I've found a lot of ways to mess it up and not make the 100-mile goal. It's a tough challenge. We've had some long-distance through hikers come out and tap out after just 50 miles. We've seen ultramarathoners come out and not finish. The reality is that the A100, which follows the North Country Trail, one of the longest trails in the U.S., is an ungroomed trail. Although well taken care of by local volunteers, it's what many hikers would call a goat trail. Include the fact that it is an unsupported event where the participant has to carry their own food and water, and the event will challenge just about anyone from any level. So, having found many ways to fail at this event, I've made a list of 6 things I think anyone who's going to do the A100 must prep for. So here's the Fat Man's Guide to not effing up the A100 Ultra Challenge. Number 6. You need to get your gear and you need to work in it, and then you need to use it. Now, I'm not going to be one of those gear snobs that we've all met on the trail. I'm not going to tell you what gear is right or what gear is perfect. What I am going to tell you is to use whatever you like and whatever you can afford. Now, for me personally, when I talk about this, you need to make sure that you're using the gear that you train in, because that's what your body's going to be used to. So for me, when I do the 100, one of the things I'm not going to change, and I've done it in the past, I'm not even going to change my hat, t-shirt, shorts, socks. I'm going to use the same gear I train in. Because what happens is, and we've all done it, and I've done it, is we'll get a chance to get some new gear a couple weeks before. We'll get it, we'll work in it, we'll get a couple miles in it, not near enough. And then when we get out on the trail, come mile 30, 40, we're going to start feeling this isn't right. And that's the last time you want to have a gear failure. So to me, if you really want to succeed, when you get out there, get in your gear, use it, and then do not change it. For better or worse, stick with what you've been using. Number 5, you have to have a plan. Now by this, what I mean is that for most of the people who are going to be hiking this, they're not going to get a lot of chance to be on the trail. And you need to know the layout of the trail. You need to know how far you're going to need to go. What are your time goals? And what time do you want to be able to eat? What are you going to eat? But you have to have those goals, because ultimately at the end of the day, we all want to get the 100, the 75, or the 50. But during that 48-hour time period, you need some small goals, because you're going to need success. So for me personally, every 3 hours. I always have a goal of where I'm going to be every 3 hours. I also plan on eating every 3 hours. I'm a plus size hiker. I'm a big dude. And so therefore, if I don't make sure to get the calories, I'm going to die out. I've done that before. All right. And so you want to make sure that you have all of that set up, and then you want to know the trail. If you haven't got a chance to get online, get a map of the trail. Look at it. Quite honestly, get a hold of people if you know anyone who's been on that trail. Ask them, where are the tough parts? Quite honestly, When I go through it, I can think through that entire trail where every sucky part is going to be for me. And when I look at my times, I expect some times to be a little bit slower based on the trail. But you have to have a plan. Number 4, get miles and get them on hills. You need to train your body for the hills. You've got to understand that this trail has nearly 25,000 feet of elevation change. That's right up there with a lot of the other races that we've talked about. And so when you understand that, if you haven't done hills, you haven't trained your body, because hills will beat up on your ankles and knees, some people their low backs, and they're definitely going to form blisters in different places if you haven't done it. An example of this is last year when I was doing the 100, I ran into a gentleman who's from a major city on the East Coast, and he would look like he was struggling. And I asked him, "How are you doing?" And he said he was struggling because he's getting blisters where he's never had blisters on his feet. Now, when I talked to him, he said, "I've gotten a lot of miles in." But under further conversation, you find out that he got all of his miles in the city on sidewalks. And this city doesn't have many hills. And so therefore, he may have gotten a lot of miles, but he didn't get hills. And the other thing he didn't get, and you can't even get this on roads or even a dirt road, being able to walk on rocks and roots and beat up your feet, because that's going to happen on this trail. This trail is not cleared up. That's one of the things that a lot of the ultra runners realize, is that there's a lot of rocks and roots everywhere. It is an old goat trail. So understand that you have to get out there and you have to get on the hills, and you got to make sure that you prepare them for those hills and the beating your feet are going to take. Number 3, you must solo hike. Now, one of the things I want to say is if you are going to solo hike, make sure that you tell someone where you're going, how long you're going to be out there, specific directions to be able to potentially help you if something bad happens. But with that being said, you have to be able to get out there and handle the mental stress of being alone, which is going to seem weird because when we start, there's going to be nearly 180 people at the start. They're going to let us go and we're all going to be on the trail. And it's going to be packed for quite a while. Everyone's going to be really tight together. It's going to be kind of slow going sometimes. But what you're going to find is after about 6 hours, that really changes. First, some people are going to slow down. Some people are going to be way out front of the group. Some people are going to decide, I'm not hiking the whole thing. I'm going to camp. I'm too tired. Some people are just going to quit, quite honestly. You'd be amazed at how quickly some people quit. And what you're going to find out about 6 miles in is you're going to be alone. And what you're going to find out by the second and third day is, if you're still going, there will be large sections where you will never see anyone. And if you don't have the confidence that you can do this by yourself, if you don't have the confidence that you can keep track of the trail, if when you have emotional times, you don't have the confidence that you have the ability to handle that, you're going to struggle. And so you need to make sure that you solo hike so that you can deal with those emotions of doubt and frustration and fear when you think you might be lost. You need to solo hike. And along with this, number 2, you need to night hike. My very first year of doing the A100, this is what beat me. You know, I had already just done a couple long distance hikes, section hikes. I had solo hiked over 200 miles here in Pennsylvania. And so I had dealt with a lot of these things, but I had never done a prolonged night hike. I had done an hour, 2 hours, had the headlamp on. But until that first time, hour 4, 5, 6, and all of a sudden you just feel the forest closing in on you. You're existing in a tiny little bubble, and you're on a trail you're trying to keep track of. Oh, and by the way, it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you're exhausted. You're wanting to fall asleep. You don't understand how difficult that is. And what you must know is if you're going to do the 100, you are going to have to hike at night. Unless you're a supreme athlete, you are not going to get much sleep on this hike. And you're going to be exhausted. And you must be able to do this. And quite honestly, especially if you go further along, you're going to have to do it by yourself at night. And you must be able to handle that. I've had a bunch of friends who are in the military, and they've said, hey, night rucks, some of the most difficult things you can do. Very stressful, very difficult. It gets colder. You get frustrated. You're sleep deprived. You must be able to handle hiking at night. And number 1, you must have mental prep. Let's put it this way. If you were to go on a 100-mile hike any other time, that's going to be what, 5-6 days? You're going to average around 20 miles a day. And during that 5, 6 days, you're going to have a lot of different emotions. You're going to be excited. You're going to be angry. You're going to be tired. You're going to be happy, sad, depressed, frustrated. Now take all of those feelings and slam them in about 48 hours. Do that sleep deprived, exceptionally hungry, physically torn down. And that's what the A100 is. You have to understand with the A100 that this is going to suck. It is not going to be easy. And whenever people go out on the trail, they think it's going to be some big magical thing. What they have to understand is the trail's in charge. The weather will change everything. The trail conditions will change everything. Your frame of mind will change everything. And so you have to understand that if you do not get your mental prep in place, if you don't understand that you are going to have moments of weakness, how am I going to deal with this? How am I going to deal with frustration? How am I going to deal when I think about quitting? How about when I cross a road and I go, yeah, I'm done? It's very, very difficult. Again, I've done this 5 times. I still haven't got to 100, so I still haven't won this one. And so you have to make sure that you mentally prepare for what this is going to be. All right, well, that's my list. Number 6, you need to get in your gear, work in it, and stay with it. Number 5, you need to have a plan. Number 4, you need to get miles, and you need to get them on hills. Number 3, you need to solo hike. Number 2, you need to night hike. And number 1, you need to prepare mentally for the fact that this is going to suck. Well, those are my thoughts for those who want to do the A100. Thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed the conversation today, please like. And if you've not already done so, please subscribe. If there are any other topics you'd like me to cover in the A100 or anything else, please leave them in the comments section and I'll try to get them on. I hope in the near future to make some more videos on these 6 topics, as well as some of my other favorite stories or ideas from the years that I have done the A100. Well, until next time, I'm the Fat Man. Get out there and live life to the fullest without excuses. See ya.